Well, the heat is on today. We have our hottest day of the summer so far. You can hear the wind whipping around too. A cold front is making its way across Minnesota. That's going to be the focus for some storms, potential severe weather, both today and tomorrow. Break that down and the cooler weather coming in behind it all. The heat is on this Monday. We have our hottest day of the summer season so far. Heat advisory for the whole Twin Cities metro area, 1 to 7 p.m. We're going to see temperatures in the mid 90s potentially with heat indices in the upper 90s. Not as bad as it could be because those dew points won't be quite into the 70s like they can, but muggy 60s nonetheless. All across southern Minnesota, we're going to see widespread 90s, but you know, to the northwest, already more comfortable, around 80 in the northwestern part of the state. We do have a cool front sweeping across western Minnesota. Ahead of it, the higher dew points that are in the muggy 60s, and of course the heat. And it's that cool front that's going to be the focus for any thunderstorm development both today and tomorrow. The problem is going to be organization for these storms to create severe storms. Well, plenty of energy with the heat and those high dew points, but not going to have a whole lot of shear to organize those storms, at least today. That might change tomorrow, but plenty of energy ahead of the front, and that will lead to at least some isolated or spotty storms popping up by the evening. But the severe risk is further to the west, where we have the jet stream, some of those mid-level winds, and consequently some of the shear. So slight risk, level 2 out of 5 to the west, and primarily for a wind threat, especially in central and western South Dakota as these storms develop initially. Could produce some high winds, and then whatever holds together will make its way into western Minnesota. That's why that severe threat, that slight risk, extends into west central Minnesota. When we look at further east for storms that do develop this afternoon and evening, could see some wind gusts out of some of those storms, but might be just below the severe criteria. And then heading into tomorrow, that's when things might get a little more interesting for southern and eastern Minnesota into western Wisconsin. We'll have plenty of energy, that convective available energy, the instability that will be out there from the daytime heating near 90 again for the 4th of July. But then the added component that'll be important tomorrow is the shear, which is going to be to the west today, where the upper level winds are that will organize storms. That will start to focus eastward as we head into Tuesday. But the inhibiting factor tomorrow is the storms that develop tonight. Do they inhibit some of the heating that we could see tomorrow morning? And that could put a lid on our potential severe risk for Tuesday. But basically, a large area of a slight risk of severe storms, level 2 out of 5, all along that cold front across central Minnesota, southern Minnesota. And again, the biggest threat probably comes from hail and winds tomorrow. Not really looking like a tornado day just because the shear isn't quite right for it. Can never rule out a tornado, of course, with any severe weather, but it does look like potentially high wind gust swaths. You can see that when we look at the wind gusts from this particular model, that you have more widespread potential for high wind gusts, over 60-mile-per-hour winds, and then the large hail threat, of course, with some of the storms. And then the front will push through and will lead to some cooler temperatures, more comfortable weather by the middle of the week. But here's Monday evening, 7 p.m., some pop-up storms. They'll be around. They'll be hit and miss, though. Not everybody's going to get wet, but those storms that do develop could produce some heavy downpours, a lot of lightning, thunder, of course. And then tomorrow morning, how much activity holds together from the overnight in South Dakota, and then more storms developing late in the afternoon. Those are the ones that we'll watch for potentially more severe weather late in the day. And maybe some lingering showers into southeastern Minnesota early Wednesday, but that cold front's going to sweep things out of here pretty quickly. Potential, though, real good potential for some widespread rainfall, maybe an inch or two of rain across southern Minnesota, locally heavier amounts in some of those storms. But as is often the case with thunderstorms, some of us will get it, some of us will get missed, but we will get the cooler weather behind it. Upper 70s, quite pleasant by Wednesday afternoon, but look at the highs in northern Minnesota, just upper 60s Wednesday. And we stay on the somewhat cooler side for the middle of the week, back towards normal temperatures Friday into the weekend. And then it's also when we'll see the next chance of maybe some thunderstorms could come Saturday. But otherwise, seasonable temperatures and a break from the heat here for a while once we get on the other side of that cold front Wednesday.